Maybe we could just hire a professional mixer. He like DJs our voices while we go.
I'm a cement mixer.
How much do you think it would cost to get DJ Khaled to come mix our
Do you think
podcast?
he's actually that good at mixing?
DJ Khaled.
Probably all right.
You don't get to say we the best if you're not actually the best. That's the law.
Interesting.
Everybody knows that.
Who's
It's-
we though when he
It's
says
DJ
that?
law.
Is that him and is like everyone he
Yeah.
does? Everyone, all of them.
No,
All of the above.
DJ is one person, Khaled's another, but they're like
So do they combine like into a form?
Yeah, think
Like the
about
final
Mighty
form?
Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh, so like the was it Zords?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Have you ever seen Ralph Breaks the Internet?
Yeah.
Where he's like, don't look at his little brother. And he's got the growth that has a face on his neck.
So does DJ Khaled have a growth like in his stomach?
Yep.
And it's a face of like feed me.
Yep.
That's DJ.
Yeah,
That's Khaled.
that's DJ.
That's DJ.
They should have him say it. We the best. We the best.
DJ
Oh,
stands
sorry,
for
that was my stomach.
GB.
Thanks for entering the crypt with us. We're Bone Patrol. I'm Aaron.
Chris?
I'm Tyler.
And today we got a special guest with us. We got the one, the only Mason Grant from the Mason Grant podcast. Everybody, welcome him on.
Hello, hello.
Tell us a little bit about you, what you do, what you stand for, where they can find you, what they can expect.
I stand for nothing. You can find me anywhere. No,
So
I
he's in a
have,
wheelchair.
I'm experimenting with. Oh gosh, you gotta have to bleep that one out. I'm just experimenting with podcasting. I'm starting. I guess the project is I'm going through all of my friends and finding out what they're passionate about, and just having them talk and inquiring on what goes on in their head and getting them to share their experience with what they do. So I have one episode out right now with my friend Becky. She works in an ER, so there's some stories and good insight in that.
Where can they find your podcast?
So I'm doing it through Anchor as well, like you all do. But right now it's only on Spotify. And if you just type in the Mason Grant podcast, it'll come up.
Okay. We'll get a link in there.
Yeah, I'll get you all a link. It's not on Apple yet, but hopefully by next week it'll be on Apple Podcasts because that seems to be what my friends use at least.
It's what at least for us, that's where the majority of our listeners are. But Spotify's a close second.
Yeah.
But Apple Podcasts is the majority. But also, Apple tends to take the longest to accept it and then
Yes.
also upload it. But,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
but I think it's worth it.
Spotify is like instantly with all of that, I've noticed.
Anything else you want to tell them about your podcast? Anything else they need to know? Or
No, that's it.
when do you plan on coming out with your next episode? I mean, do you have like a schedule? You just kind of do it when you have free time?
I'd like to get it to where it's weekly and probably post it on like a Friday. But right now I've only have one episode out. There's no real schedule, but
Right on.
I'm hoping to get a backlog of them so I can.
Yeah, that's
Do it weekly.
awesome. Yeah, we'll make sure to get the link in there.
Cool.
And once again, it's the Mason Grant podcast.
Yes.
Through Anchor.
Through Anchor.
Grayson Mant.
Grayson Mance.
The only reason we accepted to let him on the podcast today is because his podcast does not compete with ours.
We are superior.
Today, if you listened to our podcast last week, then you'll know. If not, that's your fault. Today, we're going over something that I would say in the last, 3-4 months has really started to get big.
Yeah.
Right? It's like basically when quarantine really hit, this also peaked in popularity.
People got bored.
Exploded.
It's an app. It's a mysterious app. Maybe sometimes a little
Grindr.
spooky. Oh, God.
Maybe we should bleep that as well.
That is a mysterious app.
No, we're not. This is not a sponsored episode by this app. But this app is called Randonautica.
Ooh.
Well,
Boogity boogity.
what is Randonautica?
What is Randonautica?
Yeah, what is even a randonaut? What is randonaut?
Well, a randonaut is anybody who uses the app. You were then officially termed a randonaut.
You also get a badge.
You
It's
know.
kind of like that sheriff badge you get as a kid.
It's like when you get wings for flying.
I only got the deputy badge.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait, no, I had the sheriff badge. Christopher Boy had the
Oh.
deputy badge.
I just had cowboy boots.
Yeah, so anybody who uses it's a randonaut, but that's beside the point. Randonauting is the act of using Randonautica. They're really clever with their terms. They just use randonaut and everything, and then change the suffix, and then the prefix, and then all the other fixes. But I would say on a very basic, straightforward, easy to understand level, Randonaut is simply an app that gives you a location, like a random, like
It drops a pin, like
yeah,
GPS.
I guess
Yeah.
you can choose how you get it. So you can like tell it to like send it to your app, and it gives you a location, usually no more than 20 minutes away from you, and you're supposed to go there and explore. I would say on a very, very basic level, that's what it does.
True.
Yeah, yep. That's where I found my long lost brother. Cut from my thigh at birth.
Okay. Well, what's your brother's name?
He was cut from my thigh, tossed out the window,
Oh my
landed in a
God.
shopping cart, punched
DJ.
It was DJ.
But now on the surface, the app just sounds like something that it's just, oh, cool, I can get out, maybe give me an excuse to go on a walk or go exploring a little bit outside, get some fresh air. But the moment you open the app, it immediately just like punches you in the face with some weird cryptic way of speaking, and the instructions and terminology is super weird.
Salutations, Randonautica. Would you like coordinates to find the mysterious prize?
No, do you open it up on your phone real quick?
Okay.
And just like read the first little bit. When you first open the app, you're greeted, like, what are you greeted with?
It's loading. A white screen.
Well, yeah,
Blinded.
here we go. You can't see. We'll get copyright shit.
I only used, 30 seconds or 3% of it or something?
Okay, yeah. So here we go. When you're met with it, it just says, welcome to Randonautica. New to Randonauting, it's got a video link you can go to see what it's all about. And then it says you can check out the 9 tenets of the Randonauts.
The 9 tenets
9
of the
tenets.
Randonauts.
Yeah.
Pay your rent in time, or the 9 tenets of Randonautica
You'll get
will
a
appear
picture.
in your apartment at exactly 3:33 a.m.
And we'll spank you.
Oh.
If you follow that link to the 9 tenets of the Randonauts, you get 9 guidelines, I would say, to using the app.
Yeah, kind
The
of like
way to get the
guidelines.
most out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, is that the best way to describe that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like pirate code.
Pirate code.
Parlay.
So your first tip in using the app is seeing in the dark.
Seeing in the dark,
Yeah.
I have to acquire night vision
Yeah.
by
Cat
killing
eyes.
a owl and applying its eyeballs in my sockets. I mean, that is probably pretty accurate on how it would sound.
Yeah. So seeing in the dark, it says dedication to exploring the uncertainty and blind spots of the world around us. So that has to be your mindset going into Randonaut.
Yeah, you want to break your pre-programmed schedule.
No, really though.
Yeah.
No.
No, like it
that's
sounds
what
dumb,
is,
but that's
yeah.
what you're supposed to do.
So
Yeah.
you got to go in with an open mind to exploring and finding the hidden and the mysterious in the world. Kind of like what we do.
Yeah, I mean, we just sit in a room and talk about it.
You know what? Next week we're doing it outside.
I mean, we next week what we're gonna do is get a coordinates from
Do it
Randonautica,
there.
and that's where we record our episode.
Good luck. We got one in the middle of a private golf course.
Oh yeah, we'll
Oh,
get there. We had
geez.
some. It was yeah. So that's step 1. Once you've got that mindset, you can move on to step 2, which is venture with mindfulness, paying attention, practicing safety, and situational awareness. Now that just sounds like they're just trying to cut their butts illegally.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like how when you open Pokemon Go,
Yeah.
like,
and
please
it's
do
like, don't trespass.
Look both ways before crossing the street.
Don't play this while driving.
Yeah. Number 3 is be sincere. Show compassion and willingness to understand oneself and the community.
So, like, if you run into another randonauter out there,
Just be kind. Give him a kiss.
Well, if you want to know it's a little different. If it's just a normal person, be kind and sincere. If it was another rando not.
it's a fight on site.
Yeah, only,
Fight on
the,
site.
only the most powerful can succeed.
You both pull out your wizard hats and stuff.
Now, step 4 is our favorite one. It's high vibes intent.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he really do be high vibing though.
Be luminous in thought and strive to radiate positive mindset.
The best way to do that is generally before you go out, you meditate, eat some glow sticks. You'll be illuminating all over the place.
You might be seeing some visions.
I think you'll find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
While they're pumping your
Well,
stomach in the hospital.
Number 5, value inner life. Appreciation towards the self as the catalyst for an effect on the external environment.
Can I get a breakdown on that one?
Yeah. What does
Yeah,
that
let me,
mean?
Read that slower.
Appreciation towards the self as the catalyst for an effect on the external environment.
Can we use catalyst in a different sentence?
A catalyst is something used to cause a reaction.
Oh,
Or to speed one up.
So I use
Or to
feathers
change
to
it.
cause a ticklish reaction.
So you are the catalyst that causes an effect on the external environment. So you have to appreciate that when you go out and you're randonauting, you are effectively you're the catalyst for reality. You're now changing reality because you've entered that space.
Because you're changing what you normally do on a daily
Yeah.
routine.
And
And
so-
so that changes
Butterfly
everything.
effect.
Butterfly, yeah.
Right.
You have an effect on everything around you, no matter how small. Those small choices can have a chain link effect into
Yeah.
something really, really big that you didn't even know or intend or may never even know.
So it's just
That's crazy.
respecting the fact that you're breaking your pre-programming and it will change
Not
your
just
reality.
Not just your reality, but
Well,
everyone
everyone
else,
else's reality. Yeah.
I'm the most
So
important.
it's accepting that even your tiny action of breaking the norm can have big effects for someone else.
Norm?
The norm.
The norm?
We're gonna break Norm?
No.
Over.
Isn't that the
My
guy from
leg.
Wizards of Waverly Place that like his parents are giants but he's normal size, so they give him little glasses so he feels like a giant and like little pencils?
I was thinking, what was the guy that we rap battled? The robot?
Oh, Gene.
Gene.
Yeah.
You rep battled a robot?
Yeah.
Gene.
He got wrecked though.
Yeah,
he
he
was
did
not
that.
He got
good.
demolished.
He kind of self-sabotaged himself.
He might need to break his pre-programming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Okay. The next one, bridge cultural gaps. Share experiences to assist in understanding the beauty of shared global consciousness.
That's interesting. That was when I looked up chaos magic. That came up because you're constantly drawing from different ideologies and
Mhm.
religions and taking concepts and connecting them and using them when you need them.
This one also, I think, it's trying to get out like, if the more open you are, it helps with valuing the inner life, because if you're open to the changes you've made in reality, you can talk to people. I don't know, it becomes easier to accept.
All of a sudden, everyone's not an NPC
Yeah,
from
no,
GTA.
Right, like the
That's a
people-
guy over there.
Well, it'll
He's
help-
real.
No, it's true. It helps you value the inner life because now, yeah, it's not the NPC, his life you've affected. It's a real person now.
Right.
Transform and shift. Curiously test the theory of quantum randomization and the possibility to change a life path or shift into a new, better space and time.
Okay, I like this concept because there was this guy. His name is Edward. Let's see. I have it written down.
Scissorhands?
No, Edward Lorenz, and he created this formula. It's like an equation, and it has 3 variables in it. And no matter what the initial variables are, every possible outcome, like it creates this graph that continues. Like it makes a butterfly, right? It's different than the butterfly effect, but it's similar. But he showed like no matter what the numbers are, it always comes out to be the same pattern.
Yeah.
Right. So what you were just saying, you can be on any path.
We'll get into that a little bit. They use the term quantum randomization, which I think is just a fancy term they're using to explain bits of quantum mechanics
Yeah.
and quantum physics.
Hmm.
But we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Bring a trash bag.
In case you
We
find
did-
a body.
We did find some
Oh,
trash, but we
boy.
threw it in a dumpster.
Yeah. Be respectful of the environment and always leave the place you traveled to better than what it was before. Now, I take issue with this point, not because I'm against picking up trash, but because it actively...
Hold up. This guy hates picking up trash.
Oh my gosh.
I think it goes
Boo.
actively against chaos magic, and I will talk about that later.
Picking up trash does?
Potentially. Not necessarily. Potentially does.
Potentially.
Okay. And then
Interesting.
synchronicity. Driving the randomness to find connections and meaning for both the individual and the community. Using serendipitous occurrences to guide you on your path.
Define serendipity.
Yeah, what is serendipitous?
What the heck is sherbadippadiff?
Can you even say the word?
Serendipitous.
There, mother.
Anemone.
It's occurring or discovered by chance in a happy or beneficial way.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it's
Happy,
positive.
happy,
It's positive.
Happy randomness.
happy randomness. Yeah.
I don't know.
That should be the new name of the app. Happy, randomness.
So a good example is just, when you accidentally find something good. You accidentally stumble across a $50 bill in a parking lot. That's serendipity.
Serendipity.
Sterdippadiff.
Yeah.
Sterdippadiff.
which herp is when you lose the $50 in a parking lot.
You're the guy who lost the $50. Yeah, you reach in your pocket and go, oh, I just had stupid.
So those are the 9 tenets of the Randonauts. Those are like what you're supposed to do in order to get the most out of this app. Now, we haven't really explained what you're supposed to do. And that wasn't on purpose to confuse you. I kind of blame it. We're just reading the order the app teaches it to you, and I think it was a pretty poor way they said it.
I feel like every time you say 9 tenets, it needs to have like a pause with dramatic music after, like 9 tenets.
And so this is my issue, though, is you get met with these 9 guidelines. I'm going to call them that now so you don't have to be all intense.
The 9 commandments.
Yeah, of randonauting, but it hasn't told you what randonauting even is.
Yeah, it just tells you to be nice to people. It's kind of like they're training you to be Boy Scouts, really, there.
Yeah.
Just be nice, help the old lady across
Pick
the
up
street.
trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tie a knot.
Yeah.
Untie the knot.
Was it no tracks left behind? Is that what it was in Scouts?
Leave no trace.
Leave no trace. So I was combining the no child left behind, the George Bush, executive order.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but that's a good point because it is very confusing. But the article you sent said that the app grew mainly by people watching videos of other people using it. So I doubt anyone even read that part of it at all.
No.
Because people are just watching other people do it and
Right.
pressing the buttons.
And so what you do, before you even start the app, you're supposed to, they call it an intent. This is something that you want out of the world, out of life, out of reality.
It can literally be anything.
Anything. It can
be, I'm going to catch the bus on time.
It can be, I want to find happiness. I want to see something beautiful.
It can be something really big or really little.
And really specific or really vague.
Yeah.
But the issue is not in what you pick. It's in how much
like the intensity.
energy you put in to wanting that thing and focusing on receiving that. And they never say this specifically, but this is where we've come to the conclusion that this app is based in chaos magic. That you are actively, whether you realize it or not, using chaos magic while using this app.
Right.
And chaos magic, I mean, we could honestly do like a 2-part episode on
It's huge.
chaos magic alone.
Well, yeah, the thing with chaos magic is it's different for everybody. There's no rules. That's the point of chaos magic.
But that's the thing is, the rules are, are no rules, but there are rules you have to follow, which is really weird.
Chaos magic, you'll find it's always going to be hypocritical of itself. Always.
But only, like, so Mason just mentioned it earlier. So chaos magic is the idea that you can force reality and the world to give you what you want.
Yeah, pretty much the idea of you put energy out in the universe and it gives back.
But you are choosing what it gives back.
Yeah.
And you have to believe that it's going
It
to
is
work.
more than believe.
I believe.
You it's not just believe it.
You have to be certain.
You know it's going to give it back
So
to you.
it's exactly what they do in Peter Pan. It's chaos magic. I do believe in fairness.
No, really though.
So that's how
Yeah.
they fly? Is chaos magic? Oh my gosh.
No. And so, but the moment they stop believing, it stops working.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So let's take 20 steps back real quick and let's talk about what the app does. Let's start there.
Okay.
So now that you know that you have to have an intent, something you want, hamburger, maybe you want to find your Heelys you lost when you were 8. Doesn't matter. You have your intent and you have to put full faith in your intent. You got to put all your energy into it, right? Like if you have doubt in it, you're going to waver. It's not going to work right. But the app starts by asking you what you want to search for. So it gives you 3 options between attractors, voids, and anomalies.
Attractor?
A tractor. John Deere.
Oh my gosh.
Green John Deere, voids, and anomalies. So if you choose the John Deere, that's a dense cluster of random points. So the attractors are dense clusters of points of which they describe as quantum points, which essentially I think means is energy.
So,
Higher
you want to get into
energy.
this?
Yeah, because
Wait,
I was confused on this part.
Let me say the other ones.
Okay.
So a dense cluster of random points. And then voids are the opposite. It's a void of points. There's nothing really there. Anomalies are the strongest out of attractors and voids, but it doesn't specify why.
Yeah. Okay. So, this this episode's, I think, going to be overall a hard thing to just wrap your head around everything that's going on. And that's not just for you. That's for all of us here. Because we're about to talk about two of some of the most confusing topics ever. Chaos magic and quantum mechanics or quantum physics. It's the same thing. If you hear quantum mechanics or quantum physics, they're the exact same thing. It's just a different word for the same thing. So, the idea of quantum mechanics and quantum physics and chaos magic is if you think you understand it, you probably don't really understand it. But at the same time, that's confusing because we really do understand quantum physics. Because things like nuclear fusion is quantum physics, and we use that for nuclear power plants. So I'd hope we understand it if we're using nuclear energy to power things. So it's really confusing, but what it is, to understand the anomaly, the attractor, or the void, you have to understand bits and pieces of quantum physics. And a big part of quantum physics is a thing called superposition. Now,
Wait,
What?
superposition?
superposition.
The WWE move?
Yeah.
So is that when I stand up on the ropes and I jump on my opponent with slamming? What are they?
Slamming, jamming, ramming with the elbow in the
Bautista-
side of the
The
head.
Batista bomb.
Batista bomb.
Yeah.
Tyler Webster goes for the superposition! Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And when
Amazing.
someone
All right,
gets
so moving on.
superposition, it creates a lot of clusters.
So Rudolph Fence.
Yeah.
Superposition.
Superposition.
Yeah. Stone Cold Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
And the Undertaker, all at once,
Coming up
jumped through the hole, the wormhole.
in Gravedigger.
Engraved. Okay. Engraved digger?
Yeah.
They were
Oh.
driving Gravedigger.
Oh, whoa.
Let me take a step back even. Maybe I should just say what quantum physics is. Quantum physics is the study of the smallest pieces of our universe. We're talking molecules, atoms, protons, electrons, neutrons.
Right. So if you've ever taken like a physics class, you learn like about Newton and his laws. And it's those principles, except those don't apply on really small things. All the principles change.
And if you're not a freaking dweeb taking physics classes, you can just watch Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
Or
can I get a high five? Oh, yeah.
I mean, start with Ant-Man, maybe.
Yeah, dweebs.
Now, so when we monitor the smallest pieces of our universe and how they react to things, we notice their movement. The weird part is they're both waves, and not waves.
So they're observed as particles, but they
Yeah.
act like waves when put through different
And
scenarios.
so the way to look at it is we have the quantum realm, legitimately, with the quantum realm universe region, and then we have our universe as we see it. And so the quantum realm, it exists, but we can't observe it really. We just know how things act in there.
Right.
And so
we can see like the end result,
Yes.
but we can't see what's happening in between.
So in the quantum realm, particles are acting like waves.
yes.
But we can't see that. They don't look like waves in our universe.
When you say they're acting like waves,
So think like a sound wave, like you've seen
Yeah.
like the graph up and down.
they're just moving like that, is what you mean.
Well, they apply like the same principles. Like if you hit two balls together, one ball is going to knock the other one
Yeah.
away. Well, there's principles similar to
So-
that, but they act differently.
So waves.
That-
What happens if two waves hit each other?
The highs and the
tidal
lows
wave.
cancel each
Tidal-
other out,
And
right?
they get entangled.
Yeah.
Particles will do that. Where if they smash into each other hard enough, they become entangled like a wave would. And now they're
Yeah.
it is
So what you mean when you say they act like a wave is they have properties like when a wave hits, they become entangled.
so all the math, from what I understand, all the math you can use to calculate with like waves, you can apply to particles as well.
Okay, but does that mean the particles are wiggling and waggling?
They wiggle and waggle, no, legitimate, all the time.
Well, I'm saying like a wave does, up and down. We got a peak.
See,
got a
we don't
bottom.
know.
We don't. That's the
the
part.
thing we don't know.
You can't predict their movement.
Now
that's the
there
one-
is probability, so the waves are
Now
showing.
that's where the waves are important.
Yes.
So when you look at a wave, when it goes up in amplitude.
Yes.
Amplitude, yeah.
So the higher a wave
Sorry,
is,
let's pause. The higher the wavelength is, that's amplitude. How far apart they are is frequency. Yes? No?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So amplitude. So when a wave goes up, that is a region in which you can expect to find the particle.
It's like almost like a generalization. Like that, it's not going to be exactly there, but it's going to be around there.
It's
Is that
more
right?
likely that it's in there.
Okay.
So the
makes
famous
sense.
experiment is there's like a wall.
Yeah.
And-
So before you get to that,
Okay.
because I was going to bring that. That's superposition. So with superposition, it's where something can be doing two things at the same time. It can be in two places at once. So the best way I heard it explained was you stand up, you can spin left, you can spin right. Superposition is you're spinning left and right at the same time.
Oh, jeez.
And particles can do that.
Whoa.
That's part of quantum like physics. Is they can do both at the same time. So the idea is how they found this out and how they found out they were like acting like waves is you set up a wall. So you've got a wall
Uh-huh.
and then there's a gap in the wall.
Like inside the wall?
So imagine a wall.
Uh-huh.
How do I explain
There's
this?
a party on the other
No,
side.
how about this? How about
Party
this?
on the other side.
You got two walls,
Yes, it's two walls.
but they're not connected.
Okay.
Wait,
And you
they're
put
parallel to each other, right?
no, not
Oh,
parallel.
this is different.
No, they're
Okay.
running along the same line.
Okay.
So you got two walls.
We got two walls.
Two walls.
There's a hole in the wall.
So they're not connected though. So imagine the two walls are running at each other,
Okay.
but then they never meet. So
Isn't there a song about this with a hole in the wall and there's a party on the other side?
There's a hole
Where-
in
where
the
the,
wall where
uh,
we can watch it all.
Yeah,
okay.
So imagine two walls coming at each other, but then they never actually meet. We stop
There's a
before
gap.
that. There's a gap. But we put a smaller wall in that gap.
Does that gap connect the two
No,
walls?
no. So now we have
Okay.
two gaps.
So we
I'm
got
just trying to explain this since this is all audio.
Yeah.
Visually, this is super easy to see.
So we
this
got
is
a-
not confusing
you
whatsoever.
got a Dwayne The Rock Johnson on the right. You got a Dwayne The Rock Johnson on the left. You got a Kevin Hart in the middle.
That made it so much worse.
Oh, man.
So imagine, okay, let me explain it this way. You've got a wall, and on that wall are two gates.
Okay.
Now just remove those gates. So
Okay.
now they're just holes.
Holes in the
Holes.
There's
Does that make
arches,
sense?
But there's wall in
archways.
between the
Yeah.
two holes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Between the
Yeah,
two
that
gates.
makes
Okay, is
sense.
that
yeah.
clear?
That's good.
Oh, so when you mean smaller wall, you don't mean shorter. You
No.
just mean the
length.
length of
The
it.
length,
Sure.
yes.
Okay, so they're the same height.
It's in
Okay.
between the two walls, but it's not connecting them. So there's two gaps.
That
So you
makes more
virtually have
sense.
three walls, but one's really short.
Couldn't you just do like a double door? How it has the post in the middle, like just kind of like that.
Yeah, but that's gonna be it's supposed to
big.
be really big.
We're right.
So
but
what they
that idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what they didn't do is they shoot particles
Electrons is what
Specifically.
they are. Yes.
at this wall. Okay. And what they
Okay.
find is behind the wall,
Uh-huh.
you expect like it's either going to hit the middle wall and bounce off, or it's going to go through one of the gaps. You can
Gaps,
find
yeah.
on the other side. Well, the thing is, they'll shoot an electron, and it'll hit two spots, one through each gap.
Wha- Oh, wow.
Superposition. It can be in two places at once, and they keep shooting more and more and more. And you notice the pattern that it makes across the back wall
Yeah.
is like a wave. So there's going to be gaps of nothing, which are voids. So this is where it's linking back
Yeah.
to the app. You're going to have gaps where there's nothing, where the electrons never hit. And those are voids, think like a wave. And you have ones where amplitude's super high, and there's tons of electrons that hit that spot. And you could like make a wave
I see.
across the back wall.
So if there's infinite gaps, technically, if you shoot an electron, it would be in infinite places all at once.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's if you get on your calculator and type in y equals sine x,
Oh,
that's what that
that's
equation
what it
shows.
is.
Yes.
Imagine being a poor electron just chilling in the quantum
Yeah,
realm,
just
all of a sudden getting loaded up into a machine and launched.
Yeah.
You get split up into two places at once, and you don't even know what's going on. You're just trying to
No,
spin
it is
two
the
directions at one
strangest
time,
thing.
and then they shoot you out of a cannon.
And so without even realizing it, we just described the anomalies, the attractors, and the voids used in the app. Because the voids can be areas where the electrons never hit. There's nothing there. There's no energy.
Oh,
So-
that's where it hits the wall and bounces back, right?
It just
there's
never
nothing-
hits.
They never hit.
Oh, it just never hits.
Because it's a wave. So there's areas where the wave never touches,
yeah,
right?
Okay.
so if
And
you're
so those are the
looking,
areas the electrons never hit.
And you can see this concept like on our level too. If you drop two rocks and water right next to each other, you
Yeah.
can see the waves, and you can see where waves like amplify each other, where they cancel each other
Converge.
out, where they move each other, and it's the same concept.
Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
wait, so
Yeah.
put simply just for visual,
Yes.
is you have a sound wave. Everyone's familiar
Yes,
with what
what it
like
looks like.
basic sound
Mhm.
wave looks like, just up and down, up
Yeah.
and down. Where it goes up, underneath it where it's empty, is that the void?
No, underneath that it will be full of energy.
It's where
Oh.
it dips down.
So when it dips
Oh,
down,
when it goes
there's
under
nothing.
is the void.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it goes up is
Full of energy. Those are your
is that the attractor or not?
Attractor.
Those are your attractors.
John Deere's.
Drop at the top you got the John Deere, at the bottom
is your voids.
is your
Void.
void.
When the
Yep.
peak is at the bottom, yeah.
And then what is an anomaly?
An anomaly.
It's the most powerful.
It's
It's the
most
high
power.
peaks and the lowest peaks.
Yeah. So at the very, very tip,
is the anomaly.
because the higher the amplitude, from what I understand, the higher is you expect. You have
It's the
a
highest probability.
the highest probability you'll
Yeah.
find the energy there.
So
Uh-huh.
anomaly is the tippy
Tip-
top.
The tip,
Or the lowest low.
Yeah.
They're called the maximums and minimums in
Yeah.
calculus.
Me and Tyler. I'm not going to say which is which.
yeah. So that's
What?
and so another way, in case that went clean over your head. I had to watch so many videos on this.
Yes.
There is the common thing that everyone's heard of: Schrodinger's
Schrodinger.
cat.
yeah.
You've heard of this?
I have not.
Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah, it's a really, really popular thought experiment.
Yeah.
Like super.
Schrodinger's cat.
That's
I've
the
never
name,
heard of it.
That's the name of the guy.
Are
It's
you
the guy.
sure this isn't Lord of the Rings?
No.
So Schrodinger's is the name of the scientist. He was one who was studying superposition.
What did he do to his
So
cat?
here is the well, he didn't have a cat. It's just a thought experiment.
Yeah.
He's like,
So-
maybe I can rotate it 2 ways at once.
So here is the idea: is if you take a cat and you put a cat in a box, and inside that box you put like
It's like a capsule of poison or
or
something.
it's like an atom or something that's decaying.
Okay.
Oh.
And then what it is in the box as well. There's a switch. Okay, and if at any point the thing decays too much, like the atom or the
Yeah.
element you
particle.
put in there,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it will cause the switch to collapse, breaking open a vial of poison, killing the cat.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Do I say it again?
No, that makes
It's
sense.
a basic, yeah.
Okay,
So-
and then, so you put
Wait.
yeah.
So pretty much, there's just it's got a time bomb, and if it goes off, then it
If
kills
it
the
goes
cat.
if it goes off,
Yeah,
if it
if
goes
it
off,
goes
yeah.
off.
But it's elemental. It's like,
it's a 50-50.
okay.
That's how we
Yeah.
can look at it.
Okay.
And then you put a lid on the box so you cannot see inside of it. The idea is the thought experiment is the cat dead or alive?
Oh.
Without looking in the box, is the cat dead or is it alive? I'm asking you.
Oh, yeah. You don't know, right?
You can,
What would you say?
It's both.
You say you don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't know. So that's where superposition comes in. The cat is equally parts dead and equally parts alive until you open the box.
Okay.
Because once you have opened the box, you have then affected reality, and now you've decided the fate of the cat. So let's go back into quantum. Just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Let's jump back into quantum physics. When we're observing superposition, the moment we pick a particle to observe it,
Uh-huh.
it stops, and it's only doing one thing at that point.
Right.
So when you observe something, you halt all progress, and you have decided reality. So until you open that box, the cat is equally parts dead and alive. But as the moment you open it and observe it, you have chosen reality. You have picked reality.
So the cat, when the box is closed, is the 2 electrons in the 2 different spots, but when you open it, it picks one.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you've observed where it's at.
it's like taking a picture. It's just one state, and it
Yeah.
can't be anything
And
else.
this is where like the ideas of like multiple realities come in.
Right.
Is that there could be an infinite amount of things going on in life, but once I go out and observe it, I have chosen.
That's how it
reality.
is at that point.
Yes.
Okay.
Confusing? Probably. It should be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
very.
super confusing, but I can kind of.
And just keep that in mind. At least this stuff this is like based in science. Chaos magic's a little different.
Yes.
But this is all based in science. So as confusing it is, you can go watch, there are so many YouTube videos, and you'll probably need to watch a bunch of them to start even like wrapping your head around this, even just in the tiniest bit. Do we need to go over anything else right now? Or have you,
I think that covers it.
okay.
Right? I mean,
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
'cause
I
there's
agree.
like the
I
anomaly.
agree.
I don't
yeah.
think it can get clearer.
No, without
Especially
watching videos.
None of us here are physicists.
No.
Hey, speak for
I took
yourself.
basic physics.
So yeah, all of that, just understand attractors are when it's getting to the peak.
Mhm.
Voids are
No. Attractors are anything anything in the peak.
Yeah. So it's in that, it's on the up.
Yeah.
It's on the up and up.
Yeah.
And then the voids are rock bottom.
Yep. When it goes down.
And then
and it's anything within that. So like it's like a big U.
Yeah.
It's anything within
mhm.
it. Yeah.
And then
anomalies are the tippy top or the lowy low.
the tips of the points. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we have this information, that's what it asks you to choose.
Yes, you pick. Do you want an anomaly? Do you want to go to an attractor? Or do you want to go to a void? Okay. So you have your let's go back again to step 1. You have your intent.
Yes. So you start.
Let's pick something so we can use terms. I think it'll be easier to visualize.
What's an easy intent?
A cheeseburger.
We all want a cheeseburger.
You want a cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger.
Yeah. So we all want a cheeseburger. So you start the app thinking, I really want a cheeseburger. I just gotta get a burger. I like cheeseburger. I'm gonna get a cheeseburger. So then you choose between the attractors, voids, and anomalies.
Yeah.
How do you know which one to choose?
I think it's personal preference.
It's preference, yeah.
Does it depend on what your intent is? So if you have
it's whatever you believe is going to be best for
whatever you know.
Well, yeah, that's different. Where you know you're going to find it.
Right. So if, in this case, I really want a cheeseburger, it's going to be the very tippy top of that wave is where that cheeseburger is at, baby. So I'm choosing an anomaly because the void ain't got no cheeseburger. They got freaking tacos. We're going cheeseburger. We're going anomaly. So we chose the highest energy, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, and then after that, it has you choose your entropy source.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is, but the options are you get to choose between a camera, ANU,
which is Australian National University. Remember that, right?
Yeah. Basically, it's not super important, all the ones it has you pick from. An entropy source is simply an input device that is on a computer that supplies random bits.
Okay. So you're
basically
saying how
random
you're
numbers.
It's just random bits in numbers, yeah.
It's what you're using.
Yes. So we did phone.
Okay. So, and if you're unsure, you choose ANU.
Yeah.
If you're like, I don't really know what this is asking you, hit ANU, which is what I always did.
We just did phone because I was using my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did both.
Well, because the difference is, like, by doing that, I had my phone supply me the bits. You had that database or whatever it was supply you the bits. I don't know if it really changes anything.
And then
it depends what you know.
Once again, this is all based in what you know is going to bring you to your intent.
An important part of chaos magic is you can't use it for other people. It's personal.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is personal. You can't say you should use this or you should use. It's what do I know I should use.
Yeah.
Well, you can use chaos magic however you want.
Yes.
That's the thing with chaos magic.
Do we stop and cut into chaos magic?
Let's finish the layout.
Okay.
So you choose your entropy source. So, and if you're on your phone, just choose your phone. And then after that, it will give you choose how many coordinates you want, and it will give you the coordinates. And then you choose how you want to view the coordinates via like Google Maps, Apple Maps, whatever it is. And then you go to your location. Right?
Yep.
Correct. Simple as that. So one last time recap. You think you want a cheeseburger. You know you're going to get a cheeseburger by choosing anomaly. You know you're on your phone, so you choose phone. You get your coordinates the whole time believing there is going to be cheeseburgers at this location.
Yep. And you get there, and you may find that the cheeseburger is just an old cheeseburger somebody threw out. It could lead you to McDonald's.
Well, here's where it gets tricky, is you might not find anything upon first investigation that looks like it has anything to do with the cheeseburger. You have to piece together the puzzle.
Yeah, remember, you are going there to force the universe to give you a cheeseburger.
You're not the McDonald's employee.
Yeah.
The universe.
You might run into a cow.
Yeah, and it says,
you might have to kill the cow.
You have to milk the cow first to get your cheese.
Yeah.
But, like, that is the idea of is that you're going to a location to force the universe in some way or another to give you your intent.
Yes.
The trip may just make you hungry enough to go get a cheeseburger.
It's
somewhere.
true. That is very well. It could be by the time you waste all your energy to get out there and search, you are starving, and now you are like, I am going to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked.
Yep.
So that's the thing, is you have to piece together the puzzle. You can't go thinking, I want $10. I'm going to find $10 at this first place. You have to observe what's around you. Maybe there's another dude at this park. You approach him, and he gives you $10.
Maybe there's scrap metal, and you take it to the local dump, and they recycle it.
You have to really dig deep.
Yeah. Maybe you have to dig deep and find the $10.
There's action required in all of this.
Yeah.
It doesn't just like manifest. The opportunities do.
Yeah.
You have to pursue them.
And how the app works is it gives you 10 free coordinates a day, and then it resets. So they recommend generally using all of them for the same intent usually to get the most out of your intent.
Yeah.
And that obviously once again comes down to how you feel and what you think is right. What you know is right.
Yeah.
It has to be you know. There's no doubt. So that's the basics of how the app works is you just go to the coordinates fully believing that you're going to get what you need.
Right. And now that we're all basically Harvard professors on quantum physics, we can jump into chaos magic to understand, because I think it's important to understand the real world applications of what this app is doing. So we looked at quantum physics, and we can see how it's using quantum physics to determine its location and how you where you're supposed to go and how you interact with the world. And the idea, one thing I wanted to say actually is with superposition, is the idea too is why this will work is because the location it's sending you to has an infinite amount of realities. But the moment you get there and interact with it, you have now chosen a reality, kind of like the cat.
Yeah.
So before you get to the location, there's an infinite amount of possibilities all happening at the same time in that location. But the moment you get there and begin investigating, you have chosen one. So that's where superposition comes into play. So that's where belief that the reality you choose is going to be the one to give you the result you want.
Right. And there are infinite realities, so any choice has infinite realities beyond that as well.
Yeah, and that's where chaos magic comes into play, because you use chaos magic to force superposition to give you the reality you want.
Give me that burger.
Yeah.
Burger.
Chaos magic is, I would say, equally parts as confusing.
Well,
as quantum
precursor,
physics.
before we get into anything about chaos magic, before we go, we hop on the train, end up in Hogwarts, get trained by Snape in chaos magic. Precursor, chaos magic is not nearly as scary as it sounds.
No.
That's not evil. I mean, you can use it how you want, but chaos magic in its own, it doesn't hold that guttural way people say chaos. It's not that.
Well,
So it's not satanic.
Well, no,
It
it
can
can be.
It can be whatever you want it to be.
Shoot.
Well, but chaos magic can be dangerous.
It's more like a tool that can be used however you want
So
to use
listen,
Right, but on its basis, it is not evil. It just
No.
depends on what you do with it.
Yeah. We do not recommend any of you go attempt to use chaos magic without putting some serious study to it, because chaos magic teaches that the universe is a cruel mistress. That we talked about this. So we got in the car to use Randonauts, and Mason's friend jokingly said, "I want to see a dead body," as his intent. And we explained that using chaos magic, which is firstly what you're doing when you use Randonauts or Randonautica, is you may see a dead body. That might just take you to a cemetery. It could be you get in a car wreck on the way and Mason is killed and he looks over and he sees his dead body.
The thing with chaos magic is it's the same with your intent, though. If you have to fully believe it for it to work, so the average individual isn't going to get it to work.
No, but the scary part can come into is if you do believe enough to get it to work, but not enough to force the universe to give you exactly what you wanted. It will give you what you wanted, but not necessarily in the way you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, a good way to think of it is me and Mason were watching.
I was just thinking of that. Adventure Time? That one?
The Midnight Gospel.
Yeah.
It's a show on Netflix that's about another guy's podcast. It's made by the guy who made Adventure Time. He says there's no such thing as a bad drug. It's just how we use it.
Heroin might be bad.
I mean, I'm sure you can find a use for it that's
No,
not.
they use it medically.
Right, exactly. There's no such thing as a bad drug. It just depends on how you use it.
Oh, no, I got one.
What?
Crocodile. It's like
that
the weird
stuff?
paint thinner that they take in Russia.
Well, he specifically speaks on the chemicals.
Yeah.
The chemicals aren't evil.
Okay,
in
yeah,
the
right.
recipe.
It's the intent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what you use it for.
Yeah.
That's what can be evil.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
So the first thing with chaos magic is it is not inherently evil.
No.
Chaos magic isn't evil.
But your intent can be bad.
Yeah,
But or if you use it wrong, if you
decide
abuse
to
it, it can end up having bad consequences for you.
This sounds like strangely similar to a political debate.
I don't want to get too deep into this because once again, this could be its own episode. It's just chaos magic.
Well,
Because people study this for their lives and try and harness it and perfect it.
here's the thing with chaos magic is, like Aaron was saying with quantum physics and stuff is once you think you understand it, you're doing it wrong.
It's like the analogy of a light in a dark room, but as the light gets brighter, you can see more and more of the darkness around you.
Yeah.
Right? You the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
And chaos magic's interesting is other magicians hate chaos magic. They rail on people that use it because like you're just abusing it, you don't understand it, there's no rules or structure. Because you have like right-wing magic. No, this has not to do with politics, by the way. You have like
Right-wing magic.
You have like right-wing and left-wing magic, and I get them mixed up. But one of them is like very structured, where you have to like be like presented before a council
Right.
and
I
work
would
with
guess that's the
apprentice
right.
up to grandmaster. And you have left-wing magic, which is like drink the blood of virgins, and you can have the power of a goat, like
Well,
weird stuff.
The one thing with most magics, right or left, you either got Alex Jones magic or Hillary Clinton magic.
I want part of neither of those magics.
You can they both have structure.
Yes.
If you have structure to your magic, it can never be chaos magic, no matter what.
Yeah.
You can have zero structure. The
Defining it
moment-
at all makes it.
But there is structure within chaos magic when it's benefiting you.
Right.
So
So, this is where chaos magic, like I said earlier, is hypocritical in every time you use it. There is nothing about it that makes sense. And
No.
that's why it's called
Chaos.
chaos magic.
And so with chaos magic, you pick any belief system that exists that will benefit you into getting your, and they use this word just like Randonautica does, intent. When you're using chaos magic, you have an intent. And that's where we made the connection that they're using chaos magic with the app, is because you have an intent, you focus on that intent, and with chaos magic, you use any belief system that will give you your result.
And that's
And-
where it becomes
And
hypocritical.
you only use that belief system until you get your intent, and then you drop it. And as far as you're concerned, it is completely false, and you immediately latch onto the next belief that will help you reach your intent.
So,
And that can be anything.
I mean, if the Catholic belief system benefits you in that
Then you
moment, you
use
use it. And if the next day being atheist benefits
Then
you,
you're atheist.
you use it.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
completely hypocritical.
I have a quick question. Did Aleister Crowley use chaos
Yes.
magic?
Yes, he had a big part of it. I won't go too deep into it, but yes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get there. We don't talk specifically about Aleister Crowley, but he uses chaos. A lot of people use chaos magic until they find their structure, and then it's no longer chaos magic. It's their own form of magic.
Okay, so I guess that makes sense.
And like a big part of it is like things like magical sigils and rituals.
Yeah. And you can use that for randonauting if you know what you're doing.
Yes. And so I think Randonautica is using the basics of, whether they realize it or not, using the basics of chaos magic. But it's a little iffy on if it will work because they're not using the full concept.
Right.
Uh,
So let's talk a little bit about the basics of chaos magic. And once again, it's different for every person. You can do it by yourself. You can do it with friends. It just depends on what you want to happen. Usually, like Randonautica, you need an intent, something you're looking for. So let's stick with cheeseburger.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use chaos magic to get a cheeseburger. Generally, what people will do is get their mind into what they call a Gnostic state, which means you push everything out of your mind and you focus on the cheeseburger. And people obviously do this by using drugs or something, like something to clear their mind and they can just focus on a cheeseburger. So I don't recommend doing that. You can just meditate. You don't need to go too crazy. But so you focus on your cheeseburger. Once you've entered this Gnostic state and you are only focused on the cheeseburger, you create what is called a sigil, which is just a symbol or an emblem that you engrave that has meaning to you and is connected to your intent. So generally, like literally your sigil, if you want a cheeseburger, you can draw Ronald McDonald and write cheeseburger around his head, and that's your sigil. It can be anything you want. Most of the time they look a little more cryptic, but it can be anything.
As long as it's going to channel the energy you want.
Well, Ronald will channel my energy. So after you got your Ronald McDonald sigil, you focus completely on the sigil, channeling all your energy from your Gnostic state into the sigil. And this part is really important. After you've done that, after you've done that with your sigil, you need to get rid of the sigil so no one else can look at it and forget it completely, because the sigil is holding that energy. So if you start to have doubts about it in your mind, it will affect your intent. Or if I leave my Ronald McDonald sigil out, Tyler walks by and thinks, that's dumb, while looking at it, and then thinks, I want Taco Bell, it's going to affect my sigil.
And that's where the idea can come in, that you may get your intent, but not in the way you intended to get your intent.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that is the basics to chaos magic. It goes really deep and it changes per person.
I think there's like a book, it's called like Condensed Chaos, or something like that. It's like the basics of chaos magic. But very, very interesting stuff, very confusing. I would say it's almost easier to understand quantum mechanics than just chaos magic sometimes.
Yeah. So that's on a basic level, chaos magic is just focusing on the intent and then focusing that intent into a sigil.
Yeah.
On the basics.
Yes.
So, like we said earlier, thanks to Peter Pan, we're all chaos magicians at heart.
Well, and so this is why I did not like that tenet of picking up trash, because it is telling you have to do something when that may not benefit you in getting your intent. No, it might. Picking up trash might be how you find your intent. So that was my issue with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to go with chaos magic.
Well, and it provides a structure.
Which isn't supposed to be structured. So some of those tenets were really good. Some of the other ones, like, make sure you're courteous. Make sure you're self-aware. Like, that stuff not necessarily is good for chaos magic and bringing on your intent. But also,
so legality.
They're kind of legality, and they're kind of like safe, like kind of like safety gates, like put up to protect you from, I think, accidentally using chaos magic in a harmful way.
Yeah.
Right. So it isn't chaos magic that they're using, but it has ideas from chaos magic to their benefit. I'm sure there is a magic that it falls under.
It feels like it's like chaos magic with training wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah, the training wheels protocol.
Yeah.
And one thing to keep in mind is almost nobody actually does chaos magic, even if they say they're doing chaos magic, because 90% of the time they don't realize they have an underlying structure. Like they're going for the same intent. That's a structure.
Using the app itself as a structure.
Yeah, because you use
So, but on a basics, that's using those ideas from chaos magic with your intent.
If you believe that this app is going to work for you at this time for this
then it will work.
Then it would be chaos magic for
exactly.
you.
But the problem is if you use it every time, it's no longer chaos magic because your structure is using that.
Then it just becomes your personal.
It's your religion at that point.
Yep.
So,
no, and there's like people use it without realizing they use it. Like in day-to-day life, like Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. Yeah. Do you want me to tell that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jim Carrey, when he was broke in the late 80s, he was an aspiring actor and he wrote himself a check for $10 million. And he would drive up to the rich part of town and visualize himself being friends with these people and producers, admiring his work. And then 3 years later, Dumb and Dumber came out and he received a check for $10 million. He focused all of his energy. Every night he would go up and visualize himself being acquaintances with these people. He wrote himself the check, which could have been the
sigil.
The sigil.
Mm-hmm.
And then he put in the work and the effort, which is a huge part of it. And then it manifested itself, received a check for $10 million.
Right, but the problem is, since he kept the same structure, the universe gave him his $10 million, but it also gave him terrible movies.
I don't know, Sonic was actually pretty good.
Sonic?
I don't know. But
and that was his avenue for that goal. Who knows if he did it again for other intentions or if he stuck with that throughout his life. You don't know.
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem, is like Christopher was saying, is people will use chaos magic, whether they realize it or not, and they'll get their intent, and they're like, well, that worked, and they'll keep using it. And at that point, you have stopped using chaos magic.
Right.
So
you're still using magic in the sense, but it's not chaos magic.
Chaos magic has structure until you get your intent, and then that structure is supposed to be thrown out the window.
Yeah. So most of the time, what I should say is the ideas of chaos magic, fully believing in your intent and everything, I think is a good skill just to practice in everyday life. But channeling your energy into like sigils and stuff, you got to be careful, because if it works out and the universe is playing some nasty tricks on you, it could really screw you over. There's a lot of people who try to master chaos magic and it ruins their life.
And so you're probably wondering, why are we going over Randonautica? Because, yeah, it's like cryptic and mysterious a little bit, more confusing probably than anything. But it's because there's actually a really creepy story that goes along with it that happened very recently.
A lot of people, like Aaron said, in quarantine have been using it. They need something to do, right? So they're like, oh, this takes me to a random place. Let's check it out, right? A lot of people are using these magics and quantum theories without realizing what they're doing.
So, Tyler, take us back exactly a month ago on June 19th.
All right, so let's get in that time machine.
That was way too much.
Disney.
Oh crap! Go back. So now we're in June 19th, 2020, and a couple of teenagers, decided to use Randonautica, and their intent was to find something dealing with travel. So their intent was travel, and so Randonautica gave them a point on 1100 Aliki Avenue. Southwest. It's near a park called Luna Park, and it's
what state is this?
This is Washington, Seattle area, and it's a pretty I was looking at Google Maps, and there was apartments for sale around that area, and they were in the millions.
Oh yeah, if you're by the beach,
it is really close to the it's like a bay. Basically.
Yeah, my GTA 5 apartment by the beach is $6 million.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so they go to that point, and near the pier where their point is,
they find the travel gnome.
Almost. They find a suitcase, a black suitcase, and they're like,
being pulled by the travel gnome.
Close. But yeah, so they find this black suitcase, and they're like, let's open it.
Well, because travel.
And so let's see what's inside. Let's put our energy into this. And so they open, and this is on a TikTok. And they open this suitcase, and immediately they just smell this rotting stuff, and they're like, "Oh, what is that?"
Jerry.
I told you not to fart.
Come on, Jerry.
But they believe it's rotting food, and one of them jokes it's a dead body. Upon closer inspection, they believe it's a dead body, so they call the police. The police, it takes over 2 or 3 hours for the police to get there. They end up leaving, or they probably give statements to the police or whatever, and they leave, and they found, so as of June 30th, they have identified that in that suitcase were the remains of 2 people, a 27-year-old male and a 36-year-old female. And so it's just basically body parts in a suitcase.
Yeah. It's like a Luca Magnotta thing all over again.
It pretty much is. And I was pretty skeptical of this, but there's an actual article, and on Seattle.gov they have story updates of this.
Well, they're pretty sure that they're tracking a serial killer at this point, because this isn't the first time in that area they have found something similar to this.
Which that's just
that could be another episode.
But, yeah.
Now, so we can look at this from 2 standpoints. The one standpoint, if you're in chaos magic, you're in quantum theory, you're a randonaut, you're trying to figure out how did this happen? A couple things. One, it could be their intent, they didn't put enough energy into it, or they weren't taking it seriously enough. So yes, they found their travel, but the universe was playing a mean little trick. Could also be that within that suitcase, that was their travel, and they're supposed to leave it alone. But the moment they opened it, superposition took place. They halted superposition, and now they've determined that the reality they're in is the one where there's 2 dead bodies inside of it.
It could very easily too be their intent. One of them said, I bet there's a dead body in there. All their intent changed. There's a dead body in there. And with the cat thing, it could have been onions, and then it was a dead body.
But when they opened it, they determined it. The other point of view is simply coincidence.
Yeah.
They happened to go to an area thinking about travel, so they found an old suitcase, and someone was going to find it.
You got to keep in mind, too, it's on a beach. It's a big area. They could have gone to the coordinates and then walked down the beach and saw the suitcase, right? It could have not been where it sent them at all. It could have been at the other side of the beach.
Other side.
So, that's the idea, looking at this is, okay, before I get into this, is there anything else you want to talk about the app or this story?
No.
Since then, there's been a lot of other creepy things, but that's the only one that's confirmed.
It's the confirmed murder.
If you go on to there's a subreddit for it. and people post like what their intent was and what they saw. And most of it's not creepy. Most of it's, I was looking for somewhere peaceful and they got a cool sunset.
Yeah.
Now, all right, so that's Randonautica. That's the theory surrounding it. That's a creepy story that went with it. Now, if we're looking at this from the eyes of it is all true, like chaos magic is powerful, it's real, your intents can happen. I mean, I think we kind of explained that, right? It's like that's how things like that can happen.
Yeah.
From a real, what's your real theory?
I really just think that they were sent down by the beach and then they wandered across the beach till they saw that.
Yeah.
And that just happened to be with travel.
Yeah. Me and Mason did a bunch of points the other night, and honestly, there was nothing really. We were like,
it was stretching.
Our intent was mystery, and yeah, there were things that were mysterious, but they were like not really.
Right.
My honest thing is kind of confirmation bias. You get enough people using the app that eventually weird coincidences are going to happen. Like that's just statistically, it's going to take place. You're going to have the overwhelming majority of people like us where they do it like once and they see nothing. You're not going to hear those stories because why in the world would I go post that story? Nobody cares about that story. But I guess here I am posting that story.
You're taking advantage of my podcast time to tell your story.
That's my honest opinion. Is it's just coincidence.
Yeah, I agree with that because I did a couple points myself, and I mean there were some things where it's like if I really, really wanted it, like to be my intent, it was there.
Yeah.
But with how many people use this app, it's bound to happen. You're bound to find something. Like as crazy as cut up dead bodies.
I mean, I don't want to cut in, but Professor Snape says that on the flip side with chaos magic, if you went and you looked at it and said this is a stretch, you ruined it. It's not going to work after that.
Oh, so
yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
Do I need to return those stretchy pants?
Ask Snape.
Oh man.
I mean, and then another time we used in our last one, it was like walking is going to be required to get to this location, and it was on like a golf course.
Like a country club that had huge, massive
gates. We're not going there.
Yeah.
Well, that's the mystery. Is what's beyond the gates.
Yeah.
The reality of the golf course didn't change until you got there and looked at the hole.
Well, we didn't. Yeah, we
The Looney Tunes are in there. Save Michael Jordan.
Space
Get
Jam.
off of Moron Mountain.
We let superposition just keep happening. We let the mystery of infinite realities take place.
Still going on right there,
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah, I mean that's my honest thing. Is I believe you've put enough energy into wanting something. The energy is going to mean you're also putting effort to get it, so you're probably going to get it.
Well, yeah,
to some extent. But is that magic? Maybe that's the way you describe it.
Yeah, it's just
also
a way to describe the because I mean the physics behind it is pretty true and proven.
Yeah.
So if there are infinite realities,
Well, that
option,
part is theoretical.
It's theoretical, right? But if there are all these options,
Yeah.
and because otherwise you'd have to say like this is impossible,
Yeah.
right? And who are you to say it's impossible?
Well, you don't know until you get there.
Exactly,
And then
So-
you've decided.
right?
Yeah.
So it's possible at some point, so it's bound to happen if it's
Yeah. I mean, you put enough work into something, most things I'd say you can achieve, at least to an extent where you're like, well, I can make the connection of how I at least partially achieved what I was going for.
And that's kind of what we tried to do is to make it fun.
Yeah.
We were searching for it to make the connections to have a good time.
And that's honestly, if you're going to use it,
That's the way to do it.
yeah. I mean,
Have a
it's just
good
for fun. It was good to like get out, go on some walks.
Yeah, spend some time together, enjoy the nice evening air.
It was really nice, but I mean,
If you're gonna use it as a casual user, just use it to break your regular schedule and just go see somewhere new.
break up the superposition of life.
Yep.
No, so quantum tunneling.
No, thank you.
So is it like Dig Dug?
Listen to this. No.
This
This guy in TED Talk explained it. Imagine this window right here, and I have a bouncy ball, and I throw the bouncy ball, and it bounces off the window back to me. I catch it. Throw, bounce, catch, throw, bounce, catch, throw, straight through the window, and just keeps going. That's quantum tunneling. Particles will just fly through things sometimes.
Even each other.
Yeah, and just keep going, even though physics says it should have bounced off.
That's how the sun works, actually.
Mhm.
The only reason the sun burns like it does is because
And-
occasionally the particles don't repel each other. They
Yep,
combine.
and so you can thank quantum tunneling for us literally being alive.
Yep.
So Dig Dug.
No, he only if he never goes through it. Oh, he does go through. No, the ghosts do. He doesn't. The little monsters
the
go
little
through.
monsters, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like that.
Yeah, a little bit. I
Kind
guess.
of.
Kind of.
So platform 9 3/4 is just quantum tunneling.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Essentially.
This has nothing to do with it. This is really crazy to me. And Einstein hated this. And so
Hamburgers.
think of two particles flying through space and they smash into each other and they quantum tunnel and keep going past each other. The thing is, by hitting each other, they've connected one another. It's called quantum entanglement.
Mhm.
And what happens is, so say this guy goes up, it will bring this guy down immediately. So you can know if two things are quantumly entangled, even if they're millions of light years apart, you can know the position of one by knowing the position of the other. Exactly. And Einstein hated this because it was like, at that point, you're getting close to being able to communicate faster than the speed of light.
Because they're always relative to each other. And it's not just position because they're waves, right? Remember, the particles act as waves. So you can know about them as well, like characteristics.
Everything about them.
Are there anything that we've noticed in observable space that has that effect? So like,
Yeah.
Just rocks and ponds, right? The waves like that.
Think about that.
oh, okay,
That's the best thing to look at.
but nothing like in space. Like
Oh, I'm
nothing
sure-
like, oh,
Well, I don't
this
know.
particle way over here is directly
Maybe we've
entangled
done it.
with
Maybe
that.
we've done it. I don't know if we've done it on a smaller scale.
This is on a subatomic level.
Yeah.
Okay,
particle.
so
yeah,
nothing-
this isn't like planets.
nothing
But
planet.
But it
theoretically,
could, yeah.
it's a
Could.
theoretical is like, what if we could quantum tunnel planets and quantumly entangle them?
Mhm.
Then you would be able to like travel and like,
Yeah.
We could do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
holy crap.
Yeah, anyway, that was beyond the point. Yeah, this might be really confusing, all of this. Hopefully you had fun.
But it might spark you to
Yeah,
go
I
do
mean-
some more research into it.
Maybe it was a little different than some of our other podcasts, but I think it was fun.
There was
Who
dead bodies
do
in
you
it.
think would win in a battle? Professor Snape
Mm-hmm.
or Rudolph Fentz?
Oh, Rudolph Fentz.
Rudolph Fentz.
I don't know.
That guy's a
man.
professional WWE fighter.
Think about all those emotions Professor Snape has been holding in because of Harry's mom, and he's just gonna release him on Rudolph Fentz.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Snape
let's.
is dead.
Huh, interesting. Well,
Did you open the box Snape is in to see if he's dead? Has that reality been
It's
changed?
true, we don't know that
Yeah,
yet.
we don't know.
What if we just quantumly entangle Rudolph Fentz and Snape?
Oh my gosh.
That would be bad.
All right, well, are we locking this one in the crypt then?
Yeah,
We
we're
lock.
gonna put Snape in there too. He's just gonna mope around my house if we don't put in Snape in the crypt. What else we got to put in there? We got quantum theory. Just forget about it. That was our sigil for this episode. Try to forget it.
Yeah.
Please.
Chaos magic.
Not real. Lock it up.
Yeah, put Aleister Crowley in there. We might let him out for a different episode another time.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Jones.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton.
Put him in there.
All right, I think that's good.
It's a
And
full crypt.
I think, yeah, lock it up and we get our goodnight kiss from Mason Grant.
Ooh.
Good night.